Baby Mabel cries loudly against Alex's chest. Her face flushed, fists clenched tightly. It has been many hours since the last feeding. Alex feels her own anxiety rising with each sound. A woman nearby speaks sharply. "Can you control that infant?" "No," Alex replies, voice steady but strained. "I hadn't noticed she was vocalizing." She adds dryly, probably expressing concern over inflation. "The formula is on the top shelf, where it always is for those without height or luck." Alex stretches, fingers brushing the can before knocking it deeper into reach. People glance. A child points. The woman sniffs. Sweat forms along her hairline as panic tightens in her chest. "I promised," she whispers to Mabel, voice cracking. "Jenna said I'd keep you fed." "Not on my watch." A flash of memory, hospital lights, a frail hand gripping hers. "Take care of her." Then silence, responsibility settle. Using a borrowed mop handle and what remains of composure, Alex retrieves the can and heads to checkout, balancing baby, groceries, phone. Mabel's cries have softened to weak whimpers more distressing than loud screaming. Shows messimchit sorsem. The formula is that's at sintibdimyatsidyat. Her night job at Warden Enterprises will not pay for another 3 weeks. She stares at her screen. Pride wars with need. She owes James Walls too much already. Asking feels like failure, like confirmation of everything she's been told, that she never belonged, never succeeded. But Mabel whimpers again. "Not about me," Alex mutters. "This is about," she opens contacts, types, "emergency, need, 20 for baby. Will repay when not broke." Adds 3 hearts and folded hands emoji, then sends. Just as the man behind her clears his throat, she hits send without noticing she selected the wrong name. "Some of us have schedules," he says. "That's fine," Alex replies, bouncing Mabel. "I'm busy saving my life." A ping interrupts. She checks. There you go. A transfer of Vesichisot appears in her account from Nom Visisitivasan. She shakes her head. Mistake. System glitch. She pays, grabs her things, exits the store and stops again. The sender name reads, James Warden's. Impossible. Her boss. CEO of Warden Enterprises. A man who earns more per minute than she does in a year. Whose face appears on corporate magazines. Who has never smiled. She remembers R's mandatory contact update last month. She saved his number as a joke. Just to see it there, absurd and surreal. Now the truth hits. She sent the message not to James Walls, but to James Warden. She gasps. Tries to delete the thread, but finds no way back. His response was simple. "There you go, no explanation, no questions. Just money, wasishchasut she hadn't asked for." She wants to disappear. In the lobby later, Tina nods toward the elevator. James Warden walks in, surrounded by executives. Alex freezes mid-step. "I'll just thank him," she says. "Are you crazy?" Tina hisses. "You can't walk up to James Warden." "He's a person," Alex replies. "Just someone who gave me money." At Divinite Bam, a lone figure remains at their desk. Someone whose presence is unnoticed, yet holds influence over others' livelihoods. Tina speaks quietly as the CEO exits into a private meeting room. Alex resolves to attempt contact again once the building empties. The upper floor falls silent after midnight when access is granted for cleaning duties. James Warden is typically still at work then, often the only one awake. That night, as she approaches his office, light leaks from beneath the door. Her palms grow damp. She wonders if he might misinterpret her presence and summon security. She considers leaving a note, pulls a post-it from a nearby surface. What can be said? "Appreciate your financial support," she then discards it, unfit for someone who allegedly dismissed an employee over footwear. She inhales deeply and knocks twice. No answer. A third knock, louder. She opens the door. "Mr. Warden, I just wanted to." The words stop. James Warden is asleep at his desk. Uncharacteristically still, eyes closed, jaw slack. His sleeves are rolled up, revealing defined arms. Long lashes rest against his cheeks. He appears calm, almost vulnerable. Alex has served him for months, emptying trash, wiping surfaces, handling minor tasks without acknowledgement. Now she stands close enough to see a faint scar above his right eye. A sense of power emerges unexpectedly. "Mr. Warden," she says again. No reaction. She reaches out and touches his arm. He jerks awake, eyes snapping open, pulling back sharply. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" "I'm Alex Baker," she replies, stepping back. "The night cleaner. I wanted to thank you for the money." "Wait," he says. Did you send me a message about a hungry child? Yes, she admits. It was an accident. Her voice stumbles under his gaze. You asked for 20. You sent 10. I assumed it was urgent, he replies, adjusting his tie. It was, she says quickly. But I don't owe you anything in return. He stands, buttoning his jacket. Consider it an advance on your salary. She frowns. That's generous. She looks at him. I'm sorry I thought otherwise. A brief flicker of surprise crosses his face. Fine, he says. If you'll excuse me. No, thank you, she insists. My niece, Mabel, she needed formula. You helped when I couldn't afford it. Without hesitation, she places her hand on his forearm, a gesture of gratitude. The moment shifts, fabric splits, object scatters. A crackling energy fills the air as his body expands and reshapes. In seconds, a large wolf stands where he was. Alex stumbles back, knocking over furniture. What in? She cries, pressing against the wall. The creature stares at her, ears flattened, frozen in shock. They lock eyes, one human, one beast, as reality fractures around them. The world of shifts and bills collapses into something unrecognizable. This, Alex whispers, breath ragged, isn't listed in any job description. A large creature stands in the office, its body covered in silver and dark gray fur. Its front limbs rest on the desk, scattering documents beneath them. Airs are pressed flat against its skull, muscles coiled. There is no escape, she blocks the exit. The windows are sealed. They are at a height that prevents any possibility of flight. He cannot move, neither can she. Can you understand me? Alex asks quietly. Blink twice if you do. The creature watches her. Then it blinks once, then again. She exhales sharply. For the first time in years, speech fails her. Ears pivot toward her, eyes lock on hers. They are familiar, tired, but also frightened. Though he may possess human traits, his current state is purely wild. Cornered animals either run or confront. Alex observes his claws and clears her throat. I assume this isn't part of a corporate rebranding initiative. The creature exhales through its nose in irritation. It's fine, she says gently, taking one slow step forward. I won't scream. I won't call authorities. No one would believe me anyway. A CEO turns into a wolf when touched. I'd be hospitalized before the first sentence ends. Her calm tone begins to ease him. His breathing slows, his back flattens. Can I? She extends her hand, open and steady. I've never met someone like you. He retreats slightly, fur rising along his spine. Papers shift under his feet. A faint scraping sound echoes as claws scrape the desk surface. It's okay, she murmurs. I won't hurt you. I won't tell anyone. Who would believe it? The growl that follows is low and hesitant. She crouches, reducing her size. The tone shifts, almost a snort. Easy, she said. Hand still outstretched. He moves forward slowly, nostrils flaring. His head nearly reaches her shoulder. Silver fur glimmers in the dim light. You're remarkable, she whispers before thinking better of it. I mean objectively. I've never seen many wolves. His eyes widen slightly. Unexpectedly, he lowers his head and touches his muzzle to her palm. The sensation is intense, warmth through the fur, a sudden jolt along her nerves. Then abruptly, the change reverses. A ripple passes over him like heat distortion on asphalt. Fur retracts into skin. In seconds, James Warden stands naked in front of her, exposed and furious. You're not dressed, she says, voice rising. That's worse than being a wolf. He is tall, strong, clothes had concealed his physique perfectly. Her thoughts stall. Stop it, he says, face flushed with anger and shame. He walks to the wall, presses a panel which slides open into a hidden closet lined with identical suits. A secret suit storage, she says, staring upward. Of course you have one. I always wondered why your wardrobe was so uniform. I thought maybe you were colorblind, she adds before thinking. Or perhaps wolves are. He glares. Not colorblind. Got it, she replies quickly. Maybe you just avoid choices. She keeps talking, overwhelmed by the moment, watching him shift, seeing him bare, observing his dress. James dresses rapidly, movements sharp despite tremors in his hands. She notices for the first time he is not flawless. Cufflinks resist his grip. Let me help, she offers, stepping forward. He freezes. Don't touch me. She stops, palms raised. Sorry. He struggles with the cuffs, jaw tight. If you touch me again, he says reluctantly. I'll shift back. Alex blinks. Wait, what? She recalls touching his arm just before the change. You mean human contact triggers a transformation? No, he interrupts. Not human contact. Contact with someone of the opposite sex, specifically. Alex frowns. So every time a woman touches you, you turn into a wolf. Essentially, he says. But how did this happen? Were you born like this? She asks. I wasn't cursed at birth, he replies. It happened in my 20s. A curse, yes, but I could shift before without restriction. He straightens his tie. I'm a shifter. You were able to transform freely, then the condition changed. He nods. Now, it's triggered by contact with women. Alex studies him, the tremor in his hands, sweat on his temples. I assume you expect discretion, he says, tone firm but not entirely certain. She looks at him silent. She is afraid. I won't disclose this, she says calmly. It stays between us. His face shifts, hesitation, doubt, then a brief easing of tension. Most people would avoid me, he says quietly. Most are uninteresting. Alex replies without emotion. A faint movement at the corner of his mouth, barely perceptible, but it registers. She moves forward slightly. Who caused this? The condition. Can it be reversed? Are others involved? Ms. Baker, he interrupts. I recognize how odd this is. Perhaps we should limit questions. Sorry. She adjusts her clothes. Silence lingers. Then, what does being a wolf feel like? He looks at her closely, expression unreadable. Mr. Warden, she said, I know this is significant. Your secret remains protected, I promise. James begins to speak when the door opens. A woman enters, mid-40s, sharp, composed. Evelyn Warden, James's sister, and likely the most intimidating person in the city. I assumed you'd left hours ago, she says. Her eyes settle on Alex with precision. Why is staff still here? James straightens. Evelyn, he says evenly. Ms. Baker was finishing a coffee spill. Alex watches as he subtly shifts a torn piece of fabric under the desk with his foot. Don't let me interfere, Evelyn says, her gaze shifting to tomorrow's investor meeting. I'm ready, James replies. Tension builds between them. Alex stands awkwardly, noticing he hasn't mentioned what occurred. Evelyn must know she can't approach him without triggering a reaction. I should go, Alex says. There's work to finish. She grabs her badge and leaves quickly, pulse racing. What was that about? Evelyn asks as the door closes behind her. James responds indistinctly. One thing is certain. Her routine job just became more complex. Alex wakes to sunlight through warped blinds, Mabel's voice, and knocking at the door. One moment, she calls, fastening a diaper and lifting the baby. The knock continues, louder now. I said, she opens the door. Her words stop. James Warden stands there in a navy suit. Flawless posture, zero signs of disarray. He's in her doorway at Shift Sourcen of M. Miss Baker, he says. How did you find my address? Alex blurts, holding Mabel tighter. May I enter? He asks instead. He steps inside, scanning the small living space. Fold-out couches, bed, baby area cordoned by furniture. Dishes in the sink. You sleep on that, he notes. It's adequate, she says uneasily. Why are you here? His eyes rest on Mabel, who stares back with unusual focus. We need to talk about last night, James states. At dawn. I prefer prompt resolution, so I'm a problem now, Alex asks, lifting an eyebrow. You believe I'll broadcast that women turn you into a wolf? This isn't humor, he says sharply. I'm not laughing, she replies. But showing up at my apartment before sunrise seems. James cuts in. You were let go from one of your positions this week. He states it casually, like an observation. She freezes. That wasn't insubordination. A man kept ranting about his parakeet's wife. So I told him, this is Wendy's, not a therapy session. Then he said, you've been fired before, haven't you? James interrupts. 6 jobs in 8 months. All terminated for similar behavior. Failure to follow rules. Defiance of authority, excessive initiative. Creative, he says, but disruptive. Heat rises to her face. I get bored fast. Big deal. She frowns. You're impulsive, erratic, and disregard limits, James concludes. Says the man in my apartment at 6 a.m., with my personal file memorized. James holds her gaze without reaction. I'd like to offer you employment, he says. Alex stops breathing. A job, she repeats, as my personal assistant. He continues. She laughs sharply. Right, very amusing. Your records suggest you're capable but consistently underperforming. You need intellectual stimulation and resist arbitrary rules, he adds. Also, Mr. Warden glances around the apartment. You require financial security. The diagnosis hits too close. This isn't a job offer, is it? She says, placing Mabel in her playpen. It's bribery. He pauses, then nods. Essentially, Alex refuses to accept that living on a couch equates to lacking self-respect. She resents being offered money as if it were a solution. The job pays $2,500 per year with full benefits including dental coverage for children and a dissert signing bonus. Her attention flicks briefly to Mabel before she reacts with disbelief. She knows the offer would allow them to move into a secure apartment, access reliable childcare, and begin saving for higher education. James attempts to frame it as a professional opportunity, noting her financial constraints make refusal impractical. He adds that the current housing is unsafe, citing multiple failed inspections. Alex responds sarcastically. She insists he misses the insult in his tone, reducing her choice to poverty or accepting low-status work. James counters by claiming he values competence regardless of circumstance. He states he's aware she's been single-handedly raising Mabel since her sister passed during childbirth 6 months prior, and that she holds 3 jobs just to survive. He says he recognizes her worth despite the situation. Alex looks at Mabel, who remains unaware of their discussion. After a pause, she agrees only out of necessity. James instructs R to draft contracts with confidentiality terms. They exchange a look charged with unspoken tension. Shake on it, Alex jokes. James narrows his eyes. Given our working relationship, I believe formalities are appropriate. It was a joke, she said, rolling her eyes. The door's over there. Don't let me delay you. 3 weeks into the role, Alex realizes that James Warden, CEO of Warden Enterprises, is effectively giving her a high salary for inactivity. She has an office desk and laptop, but no duties. Her main use of the device is playing online Scrabble. Imprisoned in the Tower of Tedium, she quips. James remains visible through glass during calls, always composed, never requesting anything beyond basic tasks. He's avoided any substantive interaction. It becomes clear her compensation functions as silence payment, keep quiet about his secret, stay out of sight, collect checks. For someone with her drive, it is unbearable. On a Friday afternoon, she heads to lunch when she sees James in the hallway with executives and an elegant woman with silver hair, Elaine Northstar, central figure in a major merger making headlines for weeks. Northstar extends her hand as if preparing to leave. Alex steps forward without hesitation. Warden, she calls out, waving as though he had been waiting. Sorry to interrupt. Tokyo is online too. They need confirmation on the contract terms. Wait, she adds, stepping between them and gripping Northstar's hand. Are you Miss Northstar? I'm such a fan of your work, she continues smoothly. Your keynote at Women in Leadership was groundbreaking. Northstar smiles politely. Thank you, Ms. Baker. Alexandra Baker, she says brightly. I read your Forbes article on adaptive leadership. It changed how I view strategy. Very kind words, Northstar replies, her expression easing slightly. Miss Northstar, your car is ready, an assistant announces. I enjoyed meeting both of you, she says. Mr. Warden, I look forward to our collaboration. Alex stays in place until the group enters the elevator before stepping back and exhaling quietly. You said Tokyo was on line 2. James asks calmly. No, line 2 is actually the pizza restaurant down the street. I have it saved, she says with a grin. He checks around, ensuring they are unobserved. Thank you for your intervention, he says, almost hesitantly. It was efficient. Wow, Alex says, walking toward the elevator. That's high praise from the man who treated me like a decorative object for 3 weeks. James stops mid-step, catching her gaze. I meant what I said. His voice is quiet, deliberate. He hesitates, then adds. You didn't need to take on that task. His sincerity surprises her. She responds with a casual smile. No issue, sir. Consider it my new assignment, unseen support role. Catchy title, don't you think? As she turns to leave, she notices his lips move slightly, more than a twitch, a genuine expression of amusement. 1 month into the position, Alex proves effective at managing James' personal space and social boundaries. When a sales executive reaches to pat his shoulder, she redirects with a spilled drink. When a client offers a handshake, she steps in first, bowing slightly instead. "We're testing formal Japanese protocol today," she explains. "No physical contact. Cultural awareness initiative, very forward-thinking." She handles it smoothly, maintaining distance without drawing attention. CEO has personal space needs, she announces to staff, establishing an invisible boundary. "Keep your distance." James glances at her with a barely visible eye roll. The reaction only intensifies her resolve, not out of annoyance, but because his restraint feels like a pattern waiting to be deciphered. Each subtle cue, faint eyebrow lift, jaw tension when amused, is recorded as progress. "Studies show people who don't smile develop early wrinkles," she says one morning, perched on the edge of his desk. "That's fascinating," he replies without looking up. "I'll add it to my priorities right after the earnings report and before the board meeting." "You could do a little facial exercise," she says, flashing a wide grin. "See simple." He doesn't react outwardly, but she notices a faint movement at his mouth, his version of laughter. By month 2, her role has evolved beyond logistical support. She is now seen as James' trusted advisor. "How do you manage him?" Natalie from accounting asks during lunch. "He scares everyone else." "He's just human," Alex replies, cutting into her salad. She doesn't mention how often she watches him when he isn't looking, the grip of his hands, the fleeting softness in his expression when something amuses him. Those moments remain private. When James asks for input on a non-urgent matter, she nearly loses balance. The Tokyo proposal. Sliding a folder across the desk. "What do you think about the presentation colors?" "About the expansion strategy," she asks. There's a shift in his tone, something open and curious. "You have an unusual perspective," he says. "I'd like to hear your thoughts." She spends 20 minutes analyzing the proposal, expecting dismissal. Instead, he listens intently, challenges her reasoning, refines her points. When she finishes, he nods. The team will revise their approach. No explanation, no acknowledgement of change. But from that point on, he begins seeking her opinion on leadership decisions and marketing plans. Within weeks, she attends executive meetings. Others begin to comment. "They call you Beauty and the Beast in the break room," Natalie says. Though no one agrees who's which. Alex rolls her eyes. But the word, beauty, stirs something inside. In month 3, a folder appears on her desk, brochures for elite childcare facilities, each annotated with notes on security and availability. "What's this?" she asks, stepping into his office. "You mentioned Mabel's care situation was difficult," he says. "I did some research. Some research. These centers have 2-year waitlists. I made a case for priority. It is unexpected, considerate, quiet generosity." "Thank you," she replies. He nods and resumes work, but something shifts beneath the surface. By month 4, James depends on her beyond operational support. One evening, she overhears a difficult phone call. When he ends it, she pretends to focus on her report. "The board wants to restructure the Eastern Division," he says. "That means layoffs, significant ones." His posture is tight, he's uneasy. "What do you think?" he asks. The weight of the question isn't in its asking, it's in its content. "I think sometimes human impact outweighs financial gain," she replies slowly. He nods, lost in thought. The next day she learns he proposed an alternative, preserving jobs. That is when she realizes her opinion matters. And with it comes responsibility. Then comes the most unexpected development, James at her apartment. It begins as necessity, a burst pipe, temporary displacement, but it becomes routine. Late-night planning while Mabel sleeps. Takeout on the kitchen table. Spreadsheets scattered across the living room. James adjusts his sleeves and removes his tie, settling into the chair as if recalibrating his posture. Mabel enters the room. Alex anticipates discomfort, but James acknowledges her with a brief nod, relocating documents from her hands and retrieving a dropped pacifier without pause. Later, after an extended meeting over financial projections, Alex opens a wine bottle. "You've earned this," she says. "Even CEOs in wolf form need downtime." He takes one sip, then sets the glass down. His shoulders remain rigid. "They're impractical," Alex remarks, sitting beside him. "The environmental program would cut costs long term." "The board wants immediate results," he replies. They lack vision. You could tell them that's not just a failure of insight. It's a refusal to consider the future. A faint shift crosses his face. That image is familiar to me too, she says. Right now, I'm imagining you actually relaxing. That would be surprising. I am capable of relaxation, he states. Then why do you look like someone just poured cold water down your back? My posture isn't ideal, he notes. She watches as he slowly reclines into the couch, satisfied. Getting there, she says, smirking. Now try relaxing your facial muscles. A moment later, James smiles, genuinely. It spreads across his features, altering his expression completely. Alex feels a sudden change in her rhythm. This isn't just a breakthrough. Not merely a crack in his demeanor, something deeper, unsettling. This wasn't about the project, she realizes. It was about him. She can't be developing feelings for her CEO, especially not one who happens to have wolf traits. That's impossible. She stares into the mirror, brushing her teeth. You can't like your boss, she tells herself firmly. He doesn't match her preferences. Someone with energy, spontaneity, a sense of humor. Not a man in tailored clothing who organizes socks by color and size. Besides, he shows no interest. She's not his equal, she was once a janitor. He runs a global enterprise. She can barely keep track of mismatched shoes. This is irrational, unacceptable. She resolves to stop looking at him, to avoid sharing jokes. To eliminate any effort in making him smile. Operation No Crush begins. The next 2 days pass with minimal contact. When James sends an email asking for feedback, she replies concisely. When he stops by her office, she invents a task elsewhere. By day, she notices his attention shifting, his stance tauter when she walks past, a subtle tightening around his eyes. It's the right move, she tells herself. Distance is necessary. She focuses on work, avoiding coffee breaks and casual encounters. At noon, she feels accomplished. Over 3 hours without thinking of James or his rare expression. Natalie from accounting arrives with a paper bag. Someone sent you something. Alex peers inside, her favorite meal from the small Vietnamese restaurant that doesn't deliver. A note is attached. You seemed busy this morning. Don't forget to eat. James, not Mr. Warden, just James. She smiles despite herself, then quickly shoves the note away. He remembers her lunch preferences. How can she resist when he's so considerate? The avoidance tactic fails by day 4. Then, during file sorting, James appears in her doorway. His posture is tense, unnaturally still. One eyebrow ticks slightly, his version of alarm. I'm here, Alex says, rising. What happened? Not here, he murmurs. My office. The door shuts behind them, and James walks to the window overlooking the city. The Northcrest transaction has stalled. Alex waits for explanation but receives none. 3 meetings with Marcus Northcrest, he says finally. Each ends with commitments we never see. He turns. Evelyn is demanding closure. The board's patience is gone. What's preventing progress? James runs a hand through his hair. The deal should work. Terms are balanced. Forecasts are strong, but something isn't aligning. Personality issues, Alex suggests. What's Northcrest like? He's unconventional, James replies. A shifter. Alex reacts sharply. You mean he can change shape? Like you? Yes. Not curse, though. That's extraordinary. He's everywhere in the media. Her thoughts race. Are other public figures shifters? The mayor, a celebrity. She stops herself. This isn't professional. Just keep negotiating, she says coolly. James watches her closely. This deal is vital to our growth timeline. Deadlines loom, and I've made no headway. What do you want me to do? I don't know, he admits. You see things differently. Maybe you can spot what I'm missing. The compliment lands despite her effort to remain neutral. Fine, she says. I'll research. 2 days later, Alex presents findings. Northcrest signs deals only in upscale bars after midnight. His assistant carries antacids and a spare tie. He insists business requires authenticity. Tequila shots and karaoke are standard. He doesn't operate in boardrooms, she states, placing a folder on James's desk. You need to go to a bar, get him drunk, match his style. James stares. Are you serious? It's how he closes deals. She opens the folder. Hudson Media merger, Skyline Lounge, C@M Paragon acquisition, Whiskey Blue, post-celebration. Not professional, James says. Alex thinks. He's ridiculous when stubborn and rigid, then realizes her own thoughts are breaking through. What? He asks. She blinks. Nothing. Everything's fine. She retreats to her desk. Lisa from HR stops her, serious. James Warden wants you in her office. Now. Alex freezes. Evelyn wants a private meeting. Lisa nods solemnly. I'll start planning your farewell, Alex thinks as dread builds. She arrives at the frosted door, steadies herself, knocks. Enter. Evelyn sits behind a white desk, composed and intense. She doesn't speak, just looks. Bad day, Alex tries. What's your angle? Evelyn asks. You're not here to discuss Northrest. Alex is confused. I thought we were. I don't care about Marcus, Evelyn interrupts. A crack in her composure. I'm talking about James. James. Alex says, surprised. Yes. I've noticed how you follow him like a shadow. I assist him, Alex replies. Assist? Evelyn's laugh cuts through the air. Is that what you call it? He talks only of you. She lists. Alex did this. Alex thinks that. Alex is brilliant. Mabel is exceptionally bright. Alex says automatically. She has a high IQ for her age. Evelyn continues as if she didn't speak. Alex resents me and I don't know why. Alex Baker received no invitation to James Warden's birthday dinner at Evelyn's apartment the following evening. When she learned of it, her pulse quickened briefly. She hadn't been informed. Evelyn clarified that the event was private and restricted to family members only. I'm hosting a small gathering for James, Evelyn said with cold precision. It's not open to others. Alex responded with immediate confusion, then forced calm. She'd assumed she would be included, based on prior interactions. But Evelyn made clear this was not an option. She had reminded James of the reasons for exclusion. The rejection left Alex subdued. Her attempt at casual reassurance, I know how things work around here, came out flat and unconvincing. The comment about avoiding contact with James, meant to deflect suspicion, backfired when Evelyn asked if her family were shifters. Alex hesitated before admitting she had seen proof, James's physical transformation during a moment of accidental touch. She described fur, unexpected and visible. Evelyn went pale. You told her, she whispered, voice trembling. It wasn't a direct revelation, Alex defended. It was observed. The door opened abruptly. James stood in the doorway, alert. What's happening? She found out, Evelyn snapped. You never warned me he'd confided in someone outside. I didn't tell her, James interrupted, his jaw tight. I thought she already knew. Go, he said to Alex. She left without protest. Behind her, Evelyn's voice echoed down the hall. After everything I've done for you and the pack, how could you be so careless? Alex walked away, unaware of how deeply she had disrupted a fragile dynamic between the siblings. Later that day, she checked her phone repeatedly, considering sending a simple message. Happy birthday. She drafted multiple versions but sent none. The occasion was trivial, a routine date on the calendar. Her focus shifted to preparing dinner and settling Mabel into bed. As she sat with wine and remote, another knock came. It better not be Mrs. Hernandez, she muttered, opening the door. James stood there, tie undone, face flushed, a broad smile stretching across his features. We're done, he said, holding up a signed contract. Your idea worked. Alex noticed James swaying slightly as she opened the door. His speech was uneven, his words thickened at the edges. Are you drunk? She asked, stepping closer. No, he replied, gripping the frame to steady himself. I'm fine. She took his arm through her hand and guided him inside, closing the door behind them. You really thought signing contracts while intoxicated was a good plan, James said as he collapsed onto the couch. I meant you'd be sober when we signed, Alex corrected, fighting back a grimace. He groaned, leaning back. I forgot about dinner tonight. Birthday dinner, she reminded him sharply, snapping her fingers near his face. You promised Evelyn. Another low groan. Right, forgot. Alex glanced at him, then toward the kitchen. Coffee. I'll make coffee. She turned to leave. I can't go now, he said drowsily. Evelyn will be upset. She wanted this deal done. Alex called from the kitchen. It's over. Not like that, James muttered. Last time I was drunk, she cursed our group. Alex nearly dropped the pot. She returned with a cup in hand and found him more disoriented than before. "Let's get you sobered up," she said, offering the mug. He smiled suddenly, wide, bright, transforming his face. The mug slipped from her fingers. It shattered on the floor. She knelt quickly to collect pieces, feeling his gaze. "You know," he said quietly as she looked up. "Your pulse increases when you look at me." She froze, heat rising in her neck. "I can tell." Before she could respond, his phone rang. She reached for it but stopped herself. "Don't answer," she warned. He fumbled the device from his pocket. "Who's this?" he slurred into it. "Oh, Evelyn." "Hi." He turned toward her as he spoke. Alex flinched and grabbed the phone. "On my way," James said, confused. She took it from him with a quick motion. Avoiding contact, I hung up, she said. "No," he replied. "I did." She stared at him, then back to the kitchen for a towel. "What did you mean?" she asked while cleaning. "About Evelyn cursing your group." His expression darkened. "It wasn't her fault. She was trying to protect us because of me." He trailed off, eyes closing again. "Should lie down," he muttered. "You're already lying down." She helped him recline. A quiet warmth spread through her chest. "Happy birthday," she said softly. He opened his eyes and looked at her, then leaned forward and kissed her. His lips were warm and soft. The kiss was gentle but firm. He sighed into it, deep relief. Like release. Her body responded instinctively. She kissed him back without thinking. "This is a bad idea," her mind warned. "He's drunk. You're his subordinate. Touching him changes him." But he wasn't changing now. His hands were on her face, warm and steady. She leaned over him as he pulled her onto the couch, straddling his lap. She deepened the kiss briefly, savoring it. Then she opened an eye cautiously, expecting energy. Fur transformation, but found only stillness. James lay beneath her, breathing evenly, completely human. No signs of change. What just happened? Alex watches James sleep, his hand still resting on hers. His breathing is steady, even. She pulls away slowly, examining her palm as if searching for evidence of contact. The skin remains unchanged. No reaction occurred when their bodies touched. No transformation. No energy surge. That contradicts everything she knows. She walks to the couch, observing him closely. He appears fully human, unaltered. Doubt creeps in. Could the condition only trigger under specific circumstances? Perhaps consciousness or sobriety is required, or maybe alcohol inhibits it temporarily. But such a flaw would likely have been discovered by now. She approaches again, hesitates, then reaches out and pokes his wrist lightly. Nothing happens. She presses her finger against his skin for several seconds. Still no change. The absence of effect defies logic. A knock interrupts. The door bursts open. Evelyn stands there, composed but tense. "Where is he?" she demands. "Who?" Alex answers reflexively, stepping in front of the couch. Evelyn pushes past her. She spots James and stops short. Her eyes narrow. "What did you do?" "I didn't touch him," Alex says. "He came here drunk." "You touched him." Evelyn snaps. Her gaze locks on Alex's, then shifts, her pupils dilate, glinting gold. "I didn't mean to," Alex stammers. "That's not the point." She shakes James roughly. "Wake up." James stirs, disoriented. "Why are you yelling? Do you see how you look?" Evelyn hisses. "On your birthday. You're out of control." "Relax," he mutters, trying to stand. "I'll help get him to the car," Alex offers, reaching for his arm. Evelyn whirls around. "Stay away from him." She grabs James and pulls him toward the door. He stumbles behind her, barely conscious. They leave without another word. The apartment is silent again. At Sincere 7 a.m., an email arrives. Subject: Department transfer. "Ms. Baker, effective immediately, you are reassigned to the marketing department as strategy analyst. This move includes a 15% salary increase and expanded responsibilities aligned with your skills. Report to Director Franklin on the 15th floor at your earliest convenience. Regards, James Warden, CEO, Warden Enterprises." Alex reads it twice. No mention of last night. No acknowledgement of their connection. Only cold deficiency. She closes her eyes. The message is clear: erase everything. She looks at the clock, 3 a.m. James arrives at Sinat daily, reviews overnight reports until Jolly, then begins morning meetings. He is currently in his office, expecting her to accept the change without objection. He does not understand her. At Alex stands outside James's door. heart pounding with irritation and unresolved emotion. A department director notices and warns her that James is unavailable. She enters without knocking. James looks up from his screen, startled. A flicker of discomfort crosses his face before he regains composure. "Is this really how you're handling it?" she asks, holding up her phone displaying an email. "After everything I get a generic message." "That's not generic," James replies. "I wrote it." "Oh. Yes, because the closing line adds so much warmth to our relationship." Her tone is cold. "Close the door," he says quietly. Aware this discussion should remain private. "You're sending me to marketing?" she asks. "At least do me the courtesy of telling me you've replaced me." "I'm not replacing you," James insists. "This is a promotion. It includes higher pay, greater independence, and more advancement potential. It suits your analytical background. Evelyn planned this," Alex says flatly. A pause. Then he concedes. "We discussed it. I agree this is best for you. You deserve better than being my enforcer." "You discussed it, or she ordered it." Alex steps closer. "I agreed," James says, avoiding eye contact. "What's going on between you two?" "Last night she reacted strongly because you were late." "Apology accepted," he interrupts. "It was my mistake. Evelyn knows that. I take responsibility." Alex stares. Why was she so upset? It wasn't a crime. "It's not your concern," James says, looking away. "What does it mean?" Alex presses. "You mentioned a curse last night, about Evelyn blaming you for something in the pack." James remains silent for several seconds. Finally, 15 years ago. I was at a pack gathering. I drank too much. I had contact with another member. I don't remember most of it." Alex waits. "Evelyn cleaned up after me," he says. Voice distant. "She went to a wish granter named Adrian to protect the pack, me from my own recklessness. He deceived her. That's why we're in this situation. You had a one-night stand and now your entire group is cursed for bits of years," Alex asks. "That's not how it works," James replies. "Then explain," she says. "I was drunk, she wasn't. I was vulnerable." "Vulnerability isn't wrong," Alex says softly. "I'm not human," he answers. "You know what I mean," she sighs. "I don't see why Evelyn would punish everyone over a single incident." "She was protecting me, us," James insists. "From what?" "You don't understand the pack's rules." "Then explain them to me." James stands. "This is finished. Report to Director Franklin for your new assignment." "The curse doesn't work as you think," Alex says suddenly, stepping forward. He turns. "What?" "You touched my skin last night and didn't transform." James' eyes widen. "You don't recall?" Alex asks, voice steady but pulse quickening. "I kissed you." A flush spreads across James's face. "I don't remember," he says quietly. Alex's breath catches. The moment she'd replayed endlessly, the kiss that felt like a shift in reality, meant nothing to him. She forces calm into her expression, but something flickers in her eyes. James softens. "It doesn't matter," he begins. She cuts in, voice taut. "We touched. You stayed human. That means the curse isn't absolute or I'm different." James steps back. "You have feelings for me. It's not a question." His face tight, edged with fear and something fragile beneath. "What does that matter?" Alex replies, heart pounding. "Do you?" He presses, gaze fixed on hers. A weight behind the words holds her still. "You were the one who kissed me," she deflects. James flinches. "It doesn't matter what either of us felt." He exhales sharply. "You should go." "Why?" Anger surges, masking pain. "Why push me away when it's clear there's something between us?" "Because what's the point?" He snaps. "What use are feelings if I can't touch you?" "What future is that?" His control fractures. The rawness in his voice shocks her. In that instant she sees him, truly open, and realizes he feels it too. Hope stirs. "I'm trying to tell you," she says. "You touched me and nothing happened." He cuts her off. "Please." Evelyn agreed only because I convinced her. "Why keep listening to her?" Alex frowns. "You're letting fear dictate you. You've built a cage out of guilt." Acting without thought, she closes the gap, placing her hand on his wrist. James stares, stunned, betrayal flashing across his face. Energy surges. In an instant, he transforms, massive and furred, standing where James once did. "Shit," Alex breathes, stepping back. "I don't understand." The wolf retreats, ears flat, a low whine rising in its throat. James? I'm sorry, she says softly. He snarls a dismissal, not aggression. She backs away. I'll go. The door closes behind her. Last glimpse. The wolf sitting amid torn clothes, utterly isolated. A month feels like a year when heartbreak lingers. Alex lies on the couch under a blanket despite the heat. Spoon in hand halfway through ice cream. Pathetic. She mutters to the ceiling. It answers nothing. Wally enters with groceries and Mabel. Reinforcements, he announces. Thanks, Alex says, hiding the dessert beneath the fabric as Mabel stacks blocks by color. How is she more functional than me? She's a baby, Wally says, settling beside her. You said he wasn't great. Boring. Alex doesn't reply, can't explain that beneath James's dull exterior lay a man who turned into a wolf, carried a 50-year curse, kissed like hunger defined him, and looked at her as if she held his missing piece. He had moments, she says instead. He laughed at my jokes. Really, Wally is surprised. No one laughs at your jokes. They're awful. I know, Alex whines, burying her face in a cushion. Wally pats her head awkwardly. There are other fish in the sea. Probably less tense ones without overprotective sisters. She lifts her head, hugging her knees. The thing is, I don't get how it fell apart. Feels like only his sister kept us apart. And his curse. And his guilt. Alex considers the situation with detached observation. The woman in question appears unstable. Wally conquers. It may be advisable to sever ties. There is little benefit in maintaining contact. Alex nods slowly. She recalls the moment Evelyn arrived at her apartment while James was unconscious. Her expression had been rigid, her body tense. A sudden flash of intensity. That behavior resembles the mother's past conduct, Wally remarks. Remember how she refused to let you go out with me. She believed I would take advantage of you. Controlling tendencies were evident then. That changed after Jenna insisted on therapy. Alex pauses. The memory surfaces. A kitchen argument years ago. Jenna sits arguing fiercely while young Alex listened from the stairs. I'm going to the store, Jenna had said. It's 5 minutes away. You're not going alone. The mother responded sharply. Wait for your father. It's daylight. It's safe. I don't need him holding my hand for shampoo. Years later, Jenna explained that their mother had been assaulted during a walk home. The incident led to severe anxiety and protective overreach, especially toward her daughters. The fear shaped rigid boundaries. Protection became control. Later, Evelyn's warning echoed, stay away from him. Her grip on James' arm was forceful. A connection forms in Alex's mind. Evelyn's response to the relationship with James seems extreme. Her need for protection might stem from trauma, possibly affecting her own sense of safety. Earth to Alex, Wally calls, disrupting her focus. You still with us? Yes, she replies absent. Just thinking. He hands back the ice cream container, sighs. Want to talk about it? No, she says. It's nothing. Perhaps that is true. The links between past and present may no longer matter. It has been a month since James last contacted her. No calls, emails, or messages. Some events remain unresolved. Some connections end without closure. Acceptance is necessary, even if the path forward is unclear. Formal notice rests on Alex's desk, quarterly marketing review. Attendance required. No exceptions. Failure could jeopardize employment. For a month, she has avoided James at Warden Enterprises, skipping elevators, eating alone, working remotely. She managed to avoid confrontation. Now escape is impossible. She spends the morning preparing mentally for the meeting on the 20th floor. In the bathroom mirror, she mutters, he's just a man, a former employer. Someone who kissed you and left. Her reflection shows dark eyes and unsteady hands. Entering the conference room, she scans for signs of absence. She feels his presence before seeing him. Air shifts, tension builds. She takes a seat in the back corner, arranging papers with shaking fingers. Her pulse is loud. Director Franklin begins the review. Alex focuses on performance metrics, attempting to remain detached. Then James speaks. I'd like to hear from the analyst who developed the Eastern Region strategy. Miss Baker, your insights. The room falls silent. Franklin turns to her. Yes, she says. She stands. Her legs respond with effort. Her gaze remains fixed on a spot behind him as she presents data, trends, projections, results. No eye contact. When finished, she sits and breathes. Ms. Baker, he says again. I heard you. She opens her notebook, glances up. Proceed. A wave of silence spreads through the room. Franklin freezes, expression twisted. James remains motionless. You report a 22% increase in suburban growth, he says, voice flat. Previous figures max out at set. Explain the variance. She barely suppresses a smile. After all that buildup, this is his focus. As presented, she replies, tone clipped. New transport routes alter access thresholds. Page 4 details the set adjustment. She registers her edge but ignores it. Miss Baker, he says slowly. Please look at me when speaking. The room goes still. She lifts her eyes. James appears strained, pale, rigid. His gaze, once light and familiar, is heavy with something unreadable. The pain in it fractures her composure. Tears well before she can stop them. Alex. The concern in his voice collapses her. I'm not feeling well, she says quickly. She grabs her folder and rushes into the corridor. She stumbles down 2 flights, then collapses on the steps. Stupid, she mutters, wiping her face. So stupid. One glance and she breaks. Footsteps approach. The stairwell door swings open. Alex, James. She moves toward the service elevator, ducking under a caution tape, pressing the call button. Alex, wait, he calls. Doors slide open. She steps in, hits the lobby level. Just as they close, James appears at the corner. Don't, he stops. The doors shut. A lurch. The car drops abruptly, then halts hard. Lights flicker. No, she breathes. She presses the alarm. Nothing. A second descent, she's thrown down. Help, she screams, pounding the door. Halleck. James! The elevator is stuck. Are you injured? No, but a groan echoes. The car drops again. I think it's going to fall, she says. Voices from above. Cable failure. Override protocols. Listen, he says, calm but urgent. Stay still. What does that mean? Another drop. Shush. Alex. James, get me out. You can't. But she hears movement. Minutes pass. Then the ceiling panel lifts and his head appears. I'm getting you out, he says. Climb up. I can't, she whispers. Do it. I won't let go. He reaches. But she's too far. She tries to jump. She falls. Then James drops in. What are you doing, she gasps. Jetting us both out. He crouches, interlocks his fingers. Step here. I'll lift you. She follows. He raises her. She grabs a cable mount and pulls herself up as he climbs through. Now what? I carry you, he says before she can respond. He positions himself beneath her. Hold on tight. He crouches, palms together to form steps. I'll boost you out. Once you're over, grab the left cable fixture while I climb. But Alex. His eyes lock with hers, blue, intense. Trust me. Another groan rips through metal. No time to argue. She grips a side rail as he ascends, moving with practiced ease. Now what, she asks quietly. I'll get you out. He wraps an arm around her waist. Hold on. She locks her arms around his neck. In another context, the closeness would be noticeable. Now it's only comfort in his strength. Ready, he murmurs near her ear. She nods. He begins scaling the shaft using wall-mounted rungs. His breathing remains even despite strain. She clings to him, face against his neck, avoiding thoughts of the drop below. They reach the opening where technicians wait. She's shaking violently. Are you hurt? He asks, holding her face, searching her eyes. She shakes her head. What were you thinking? His voice cracks. You could have died. He stops, pulls her close, her ear against his chest. I almost lost you, he whispers, raw and filtered. That's when clarity cuts through the rush. You're touching me, she says, pulling back to study him. James blinks, surprise replacing tension. Yes. See, she starts, then halts mid-sentence. I told you could. He closes the distance and kisses her. Alex reacts physically, pressing into James as if drawn by force. Months of restraint collapse in a single moment. They separate, breathing heavily. A group stands nearby, maintenance staff, security. Employees drawn by the disturbance. She ignores them. I'm still angry, she says, gripping his coat collar. I know, he replies, his expression shifting into something softer. He leans in again, kissing her without hesitation, as though unable to resist. I'm sorry, he murmurs between touches. Her hands move to the back of his neck, fingers weaving through his hair. He reacts sharply. A quiet intake of breath betraying how long he's gone without contact. 15 years in isolation. Stop this. A voice cuts in. Evelyn Warden steps forward from the crowd. Her face shows shock and irritation. She gestures for everyone to leave. The onlookers scatter quickly, technicians muttering about elevator checks, staff suddenly remembering tasks elsewhere. Once alone, Evelyn focuses on them. "Stay away from him," she tells Alex, voice cold. James pulls Alex closer. "No." His word is quiet but firm. "Let her go, you'll change," Evelyn demands. "I kissed her," James says calmly. "I've touched her for 15 minutes and haven't transformed." "You did." Evelyn's tone rises in disbelief. "After everything." "I'm allowed to kiss the woman I love," he interrupts. Alex freezes, breath catching. "Woman you love," she whispers. Evelyn continues as if unhearing. "There were people. You risked exposure." "That part," Alex says. "Well, the part where he said he loves me." James looks down at her, smiling faintly. His gaze holds warmth, something she couldn't name until now. It weakens her resolve. "For heaven's sake," Evelyn snaps. "He loves you. He's been miserable for a month." "That's not the issue." "What is?" James asks. "Alex and I can touch." No one noticed anything unusual. "The curse doesn't affect me with her." He gestures at Evelyn, frustration clear. "Shouldn't you be relieved it's broken?" Evelyn's composure cracks. "There are no take-backs. The spell had strict terms." Alex watches, suspicious. "You don't want the curse broken," she says quietly. "What do you mean?" Evelyn asks. "Do you?" Alex challenges. "Are you glad this happened?" She turns to James, kissing his cheek and lacing her fingers through his. He relaxes visibly, eyes closing briefly. "Leave my brother alone," Evelyn shouts. "You don't want me to touch him," Alex says flatly. "You're afraid." Evelyn shakes her head, arms folding across herself. "The curse," she begins weakly. "He could change. People might see." "There's no one here," James says, voice tight. "He wants me to touch him," Alex says softly. "That's why he isn't changing. Because he wants it." James frowns. "I don't understand." "I didn't want the curse when I touched you," she continues. "But you were afraid. So you never truly wanted to be touched." She turns to Evelyn. "You cursed him and your pack for protection. It's not an accusation, just a conclusion." Evelyn nods rapidly, tears rising. "What happened?" Alex asks gently. Evelyn goes still. Something bad. Evelyn did not act solely to ensure collective safety. Her actions were driven by personal fear. She denied this, but her voice lacked conviction. "I only wanted to prevent harm," she said. "I wanted everyone safe." Alex finished the sentence. "Because you weren't safe yourself." "Something happened," he added. James moved closer. His expression shifted from uncertainty to alarm. "Did something happen to you?" he asked gently. The soft tone triggered a release. A sound escaped her. Then another. She covered her mouth as if suppressing the truth she had long buried. "It was during the regional council gathering," she said at last, voice low. "Matt, leader of the Northern Pack, proposed unification. I refused." James froze. His face paled. "He put something in my drink," she continued, avoiding eye contact. "I don't recall all of it, just fragments waking up, pain, his weight on me." She stopped, trembling. "Why didn't you tell me?" James whispered. "What? That your sister was vulnerable. That I couldn't defend myself." Her voice turned sharp. "I could have helped," he said, voice breaking. "We could have." "I handled it," she interrupted. "I made sure he lost everything without revealing why." "Then when you got drunk at the celebration," she continued. "I saw history repeating." She pulled her arms tighter around herself. "You were exposed. Anyone could have exploited that. I couldn't let it happen again." "You went to the wish granter," Alex said quietly. "I asked for protection," Evelyn confirmed. "I wanted no one to touch us without consent. He warned there would be a cost, but I didn't care." "The price was your status," James murmured, the truth unfolding in his mind. "It transferred to me," she said bitterly. "The curse wasn't what I expected. Instead of blocking unwanted contact, it made all touch impossible." "You let me believe it was my fault," James said. "I thought I caused this, my recklessness. Your sacrifice." "I didn't mean to punish you," Evelyn said. "I wanted no one to ever harm us again. If we couldn't be touched." No one could hurt us. James stepped forward. His face showed sorrow and regret. Evelyn, I would have protected you. You never had to carry this alone. I was supposed to protect you, she whispered, breaking down. I was the alpha, your sister. I failed. No, he said softly. You survived. She looked up. Tears flowed freely. For the first time, Alex saw her clearly, not as a dominant figure, but as someone burdened by years of silent suffering. I'm sorry, Evelyn whispered. I thought I was protecting you. I know, James replied. But we don't need protection anymore. Not from each other. Silence followed, heavy with the weight of hidden truths finally released. Nothing between them would remain unchanged. Later, James asked quietly, Do you think this will work? He looked through the window at Evelyn sitting on a bench beside Mrs. Baker in their mother's garden. My mom will understand, Alex said, leaning against him. She had something similar and recovered. She can help. They watched as Mrs. Baker nodded, expression calm and compassionate. Then she spoke words that shattered Evelyn's composure. The woman who had commanded respect for years collapsed into sobs. Mrs. Baker pulled her into a firm embrace, stroking her hair. We're here, they heard faintly through the glass. It's okay now. Sometimes, Alex thought. You just need a hug. She rested her head against James's chest, feeling his steady heartbeat beneath her ear. After Evelyn revealed what had happened, they began searching for the one who had imposed the curse but not it years earlier, seeking answers. The path led them through obscure bookstores specializing in arcane texts and hidden networks of supernatural practitioners, ending at a modest storefront with no distinguishing features. Is this correct? Alex asked, examining the window display filled with second-hand books. James verified the address on his phone. The shop appeared unremarkable, rows of shelves, faint odor of aged paper, quiet corners furnished for reading. As vision adjusted to the low light, Alex noticed James stiffen beside her. Stay behind me, he said abruptly, stepping forward. What's wrong? She replied, peering over his shoulder. Behind the counter stood a young woman with pale blonde hair and sharp blue eyes. She looked ordinary, early 30s, but James reacted as if sensing danger. This one has power, he muttered under his breath. She channels magic. The woman raised her eyebrows. I can hear you, Shifter. What do you want? We're looking for Adrian, Alex said, stepping forward slightly. Do you know him? A flicker passed across the woman's face, brief and hidden. She closed a book slowly. He isn't here. I'm Iris. Will he return? Alex pressed. He won't come back, Iris replied coldly. He harmed your pack with his curse. Her hands remained still, but tension was visible in her posture. I can help. Let me assess the situation. James explained the nature of the affliction. Transformation triggered by unwanted physical contact amplified by fear and mistrust. Iris studied them, she said, observing residual magical residue. The mechanism matches your theory. The curse activates when touch is perceived as threatening, fear triggers the change. Alex squeezed James' hand. Can it be reversed? She nodded. If Evelyn no longer wishes for protection, the spell can end. It's not about magic, it's about desire. And if she does? James asked. The cost is final, Iris replied. Once given, it cannot be undone. You said he granted the wish, Alex pressed. Can we speak with him? A shadow crossed Iris's face, grief masked by composure. He is gone. Her tone left no room for further inquiry. They left with clarity. The curse could end not through spells or rituals, but through emotional recovery. Later, James mentioned Evelyn had spoken to her therapist. Progress was being made. She planned to step back from work and focus on herself. She's changing, he said simply. We all are. The curse remained technically active. Touch still caused transformation in the presence of distrust, but understanding its source changed their approach. They practiced acceptance, distinguishing real danger from imagined threats. For James and Alex, physical contact no longer posed a barrier. Since that incident in the elevator, intimacy had returned unimpeded. Alex noticed James' need for constant touch, his hand finding hers under tables, his body drifting toward her even in quiet moments. He never asked, but she sensed the need, deep and fragile. She responded with consistent closeness, casual embraces. holding hands, warmth without hesitation. In return, she received a love so profound it sometimes overwhelmed her. "You're watching again," James said, lifting his gaze from his book. "I was admiring you," she replied with a smile. CEO by day. Soothing baby cries at night, unexpectedly attractive. He rolled his eyes but smiled. Setting the book down, he pulled her closer, wrapping an arm around her waist. "For what?" she asked quietly. "For everything," he said softly in the dim light. She looked at him with quiet intensity. "You're taking over my niece's life," he replied evenly. "Then I'll let you keep her." "You mean for the pain," he clarified. "For pulling away when we realized our connection could be physical. For delaying action. For losing a month of time together." Alex traced his jawline slowly. "That's accurate. But you risked your life to save me from the elevator collapse." "That wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been involved," he countered, gripping her wrist and pressing a kiss to her palm. "I don't want to hurt you again. If you allow it, I'll ensure your well-being." His voice was steady, his gaze open, uncharacteristically exposed. She marveled at how far he'd come from the man who kept others distant. "You already do," she said softly, leaning in and kissing him. The embrace deepened without hesitation. He held her close, a quiet hum of satisfaction escaping him when they parted. His eyes stayed closed for a moment, as if absorbing the feel of it. "Besides," she added with a smirk, "I've heard I significantly elevate heart rate." His eyes flew open. A spark ignited in them, amusement and heat. "Is that true, Mim?" She quoted his earlier drunken admission, enjoying the flush creeping up his face. "You're never going to let me forget that, are you?" "Not a chance," she said, calling him by an old nickname. He groaned lightly but didn't pull away. Instead he pressed their foreheads together. "I love you," he whispered, the words still unfamiliar in tone yet deeply felt. "I love you too." The honesty filled her chest with quiet certainty. Whatever remained, residual effects of the curse, Evelyn's recovery felt manageable now. They would face it as a team. A determined woman facing obstacles head-on. A man rediscovering emotional openness. And love that reshapes leaves, protective, healing, constant. Plus an infant who has softened even the most rigid executive. That story will come later.